One early morning in Gummi Glen, Gruffy was getting ready to do some repairs around the Gummi Glen. The others had already been awake. Sunny was talking to Grammy about her seeing her best friend Kala at the castle. Even though when they got a message from Sir Thornberry back in Ursilia, the ancient capital of the Gummy Bears. It turns out Ursa had sent a message from Thornberry that some of the machinery in the capital has stopped working, and this since either Thornberry or the Barbics had any skills or any knowledge how to restore some of the things. Since everyone there had been working all along to restore the city to its former glory. Since they don't have any skills or knowledge how to repair some of the damaged machinery, so they had asked Gruffy, since he was the only one who knows much about the ancient machinery, at least some of that. So he has promised that he would be back within a few days. But then Gubby had asked if he could join with him, and since Gruffy said, "This will be only be work, Gubby," but he didn't bother. But he's promised that he would be around to bother him, so he agreed. When they arrived, both Gruffy and Cubby was really surprised to see how much the city has been restored. Some of the damage beyond the city outside has been restored to as much as they could, and even though Gruffy had some little bit of a bad past with Ursa for about the past 2 years, because 2 years earlier, Ursa and the Barbic Bears moved in to Ursilia after they lost their old home, Barbic Woods. But this since then, Ursa and Gruffy have been starting working and they get much along. Even though Ursa didn't want to be exposed to the rest of the country, or at least the humanity about the Barbic Woods or the Barbic Bears or any others. Since the Gummies hasn't exposed themselves to the kingdom, they all decided to wait. After that, Gruffy had restored some of the machinery in Ursilia, Ursa and the other Barbics were really grateful to that Gruffy had returned and that he had helped them. And since he had been working almost the entire afternoon, and it was only getting dark, and it was too late for Gruffy and Cubby to return back to Gummy Glen, so they had been offered to stay overnight in Ursilia by Ursa, which they both agreed. So that evening, after the dinner with the Barbies, Ursa stood outside in the city when Gruffy came out and asked if something was wrong with her, and she said no. Though after since Greedy had passed away about a year earlier, she had felt lonely. Even though she has her Barbic bears around her, even her son Buddy. But even with just only having her son as a family now, she had been feeling lonely. And Gruffy did actually understand that. And he mentioned that since he felt the same after he lost his parents when he was young, he had always felt lonely, but he had always his friends around him as support. Without them, he probably wouldn't have been the same as today. Hearing these words made her to realize that Gruffy had a point and that they both had so much in common. And after that particular day, all the fight between them has ceased. But something did actually happen within Ursa. After that first meeting, after that, it made some spark inside her heart. But at first, she didn't think much about it. She didn't even realize much about it. Because now, since she's the leader of the Barbics, and that she has maintained the peace for them, and also make sure that they're safe, and also at the same time protect and training her son Bunny to be the next leader of the Barbics. But when Gruffy was back in Gummiland, things was just going back to normal. That some of his friends were helping to defeat some robbers in the forest or helping around the castle with some things. But some things started to happen now. Because one day, Buddy arrived to Ursilia to Gummy Glen with his mother. And that all surprised them because they had never announced that they would be coming. So when Gruffy heard about this, he was in Gummy Glen by now. He was out away for getting some food, at least on some one of gummy berries with Sunny. He was very happy to see that she had come over for a visit. Even Gruffy had offered Ursa to show her around in Gummy Glen and even in the area, some of the places they have. And for some reason, every time when they went out, Buddy and Sunny and the others were really surprised that Gruffy had really has offered his chance. It is his offer to show her around, because otherwise he would be quite busy and he didn't bother to do anything like that. But he always said that he wanted to be kind and honest to be showing her around since ever since that Ursa had been teaching him some of barbaric traditions and even had showed him around in Arcelia when they had been there back and forward. So, I mean, he didn't want to be rude. Ever since Ursa had shown him so much about Arcelia, so much of the ancient machinery and some of the libraries that they had, and he wanted to do something in return, so he did. But this sparked something more within Ursa, because the same evening as they arrived at Galaga, she had been lying in the guest room thinking about this, and she realized something had happened with her, but she couldn't sleep that night. So she decided to maybe just walk around to see what if something that she could do. Maybe find the library and maybe read something. Because after that they first met the Gamiglan bears, they had started learning about teaching how to read and write. So they had actually started reading, and for some unusual way though, Ursa actually enjoyed reading. When she found the library, it was empty, but she managed to get some lights and candle and started looking for a book to read. And she finds some good book to read, but suddenly, after almost an hour reading, she heard a noise. And as always, that she is ready to fight, it was an intruder. But then the door opened, and there stood Gruffy. And he just looked at Ursa, who was ready to fight with him, and he asked why would she still up so late. It was like almost 3 in the morning, and she said that she couldn't sleep, so that she decided maybe to find some book to read, and she has been reading since then. So they all decided maybe try to get some sleep. But since after that, after Ursa and Buddy had arrived to Gamglen, they actually somehow decided to stay there at least for about a few days. But Gruffy and the others had asked, what about Urselia? Who will lead the Barbics? And Ursa said that they would be fine and that she had given them orders what to do while she is away. And of course, she didn't bother to be any problem for them. Around the same time though, on the next day, Kala and Kevin arrived for a visit, and they were surprised to see Ursa and Bunny there. But they were just happy to see them and knew they were one of their new friends. And of course, even they were at first, at the beginning, when Ursa didn't trust even Kevin or Kala. But after some time, she actually started trusting them, and she considered them as close friends. And especially Kevin, now is an honored member of the Barbies after that he and Buddy saved her and Gruffy from a certain danger. But over much of the day of the visit in Gum Glen, things started to showing around because every time when Calla saw when Gruffy and Ursa was talking, she noticed something a bit different about Ursa. That she was smiling a bit more, she's giggling, laughing at some other things, and blushing. And when she just looked at Gruffy when he was away, walked in, she couldn't stop blushing and seeing at him. So when Ursa was just alone with Calla, she had asked her if she had any feelings towards Gruffy. And Calla, as she always had a gut feelings about this was might be the truth. But Ursa tried to make it as an excuse and say that no, that nothing is going between them. That she just like his company, that's it. But in Calla's mind and her eyes, that wasn't the case. She actually thought about something was going on between them. She told Ursa, if you are in love with Gruffy, doesn't isn't wrong to be that. It is just sweet that you cares about him. And even he's never going to be the father to the new father to but the Buddy, but at least he can have someone to look up to, like a role model, or at least someone that can train him in machinery or perhaps teaching him some other things that could be important in his adult life. But Ursa tried to once again tried to make it brushes off that there was nothing between them. But Ursa didn't believe it. But before Calla said one more thing, Ursa said, even if I did even if I did love him, I don't know if he would love me back the same way. You don't know until you don't ask him or tell him. And Calla did have a point though. So Calla decided not to tell Bert, Gruffy, or any of the others about this, especially Ursa's son, Buddy. So Ursa decided maybe it was that she wanted to tell Gruffy at some point when she's felt ready, or at least ask him about it. So after the visit, they went back to Celia. And it were almost a few weeks later when Gruffy had to return back to Ursilia, just to make sure that the machinery was still working perfectly, and which they were. But even when he was there, Ursula couldn't stop looking at him, smiling. But now, even Gruffy had started to notice something about this. And at first he asked her if something was wrong or if he had said something bad or done something bad. But she shook her head and said no, nothing is wrong or that he hadn't done anything. She was just happy that he was there to make sure the machinery was working and that she appreciated how much he works to help to maintain the city as the ancient Gamma state was before. And of course, even the same evening though, Gruffy had decided to stay over the night because if there were any other repairs to be taken care of after dinner, Ursa decided to at least to ask Gruffy about this. When they were in the courtyard in the city, they were just sitting at the fountain just looking at the stars from the city itself. And at first, she used to say that she loved to watch the stars even back in the Barbic woods. But then she asked him if he would have considered to be with some other gummy bear someday, maybe a girl to be with, maybe have a family of his own. Even that Gruffy had always been focused on repairs, machinery, and be a leader, he had actually a wish that he could have found another gummy bear to marry with and have a family. But since the much of the Gummi Bears were in the new Gumbria, or at least the new kingdom, but over across the sea, and there weren't much any other female Gummi Bears in the area, unless from Ursa. And Ursa then said that she had some feelings towards him, but she also said she understood if he didn't like her back in the same way and they did prefer to be friends. But before that she could finish, he said that he actually cared about her, and that he actually has started liking her more and more as more than a friend, and he wanted to be with her. He realized now that she is a kind leader, is a brave leader, and they both had the same skills, and they were like meant for each other. But he also said that he would never replace his father place to be a father to Buddy, but he would be there for Buddy as a father figure. He would never take over Grady's place as a father. And that made her smile though. Even over time, when everything seems to be going between so well between them, they decided just to be as a couple. But they kept it a secret most for the Barbics and his friends back home. But they managed to keep it a secret for almost about a year, because around Christmas his friends was told, and they were all happy for him. Even Buddy, he was so excited that his mother had found someone else to be with, but also have a father figure. But he knew that Gruffy would never take his father's place at any kind. After nearly 2 months, 2 years of being had been a couple, they had a Barbic ceremony of wedding in Versailles. But later, almost 2 years later, Gruffy had decided to move to Versailles, but he remained as a leader of the Gamma Clans. He went back there from almost time to time. But around the same time, though, Gruffy and Ursa had two children together, one son and one daughter. And Gruffy, ever since he had become the sort of like a second in command of leadership in Versailles, but around the same time, Calla had become the queen, and that she had taken and married with Cabby. And around also the same time when she became the next queen, the queen and Cabinet the king, they revealed to the kingdom that the Gummy Bears aren't legend and fairy tales. They are actually, in fact, real. And that was when the Gummy Gummies revealed themselves to them. And soon, after that, all the peace between the humans and Gummies had restored. Since after they revealed, there were no fightings, no jealousy. All the humans lived in peace with the Gummy Bears, and afterwards, they managed to send a message from Ursalia to the Gummies run across the sea that was safe to return, and soon a small town was built nearby the Dunwing Castle just for Gummy Bears. And for many generations, Gruffy was happy that the peace between the humans and the Gummies had been restored, and that everyone could now live in peace. Even though he had done the wish for many years for that to be happened, but now he had two wishes that had come true. One, the peace that had been restored between their kinds, between the Gummies and humanity, and to have a family of his own with the true love of his love. And that's how Ursa Barbic, Graphic Gummy, found a true love, got a big family. The end.